Alright, so what's good, people? Today we're going to talk about the Kubey Momentum. It's a manganas design. It's M390, full titanium, titanium anodized hardware, contoured titanium at that. It's got a bead blast finish on the blade. It's a harpoon. I'd say it's a drop, harpoon drop point blade shape. It is 8 inches long and 3.8 ounces. And it's a winner. Or at least in my opinion, it is. I have really, really enjoyed this knife. I've been carrying it quite a bit. It's just got phenomenal action. It does have a few quirks. We'll kind of go over them. But I think in the looks department, it's a great looking knife. And it's got this nice micro milled texture on the titanium. Again, titanium hardware. It's all T8s, even the clip screw. The lock bar cutout is on the inside, so it looks super clean on the back side. And then we've got the thumb studs and the top flipper. Or the front flipper. And the front flipper, the jimping does go almost up and around. So it goes right to there. And that last little jump is actually just as grabby as any of the other. And this is nice jimping. It grabs you really well. And because that last one is nice and grippy, I don't slip off of this thing. It's almost like it's jimped up and around, if that makes sense. Because normally when it's not jimped up and around, the problem will be this very top part of it right here is slick. But when I do like that over the top, that last little jump is grabbing me every time. And so because of that, it just makes it work so good. And then it's set up real high above the pivot, so you get lots of leverage on it. And the detent on this thing is nice and stout. So you can hear it. It's a nice clicky detent. And the thumb studs work really good too for the thumb flick. They're a little undersized in my opinion. I wish they were a little bit bigger, but it's really well placed for the thumb flick. Now, one of the biggest negatives about this knife is going to be the reverse flick. So you can see on this side, we've got all this room before the scale to get to it with our thumb. But on the back side, it's right up against the scale. And because the detent is pretty strong, you need to be able to get behind it with your nail in order to flick off of it using your nail. Up on top and behind. And I can do it when I'm not behind the camera, but I really have to give it the beans. I mean, I really got to put some up into it. But that's using my nail. You can see where it's already, how much pressure I just tried to put on it. But if I just use the meat of my finger and do the meat push off, it's perfect. And because the detent is nice and stout, it works really good doing it that way. Now, I'm not a fan of the meat push off. I just don't enjoy it, So while it works that way for me, I don't deploy it that way. I just do the thumb and mostly use the front flipper because the front flipper is just so satisfying. I mean, you hear how hard this thing thwacks. The rollover super nice on it. I can do the reach around on it when I'm not pinned behind the camera like I am. But yeah, because that detent is so stout, it just, man, it's wonderful. And then if we look at lock bar access, this thing, again, is just phenomenal. They textured this and they laid back this side so nice. So you just come in from the side and boom, it's just so easy. And then as you can see, it falls, and you're able to catch it on the tang right there before the blade wraps around and gets your thumb. And then the drop action on this thing is, so the only thing I can really compare it to is if you have a Kubey Titius. This thing has some of the glassiest, just smoothest drop action you're going to get on a knife, in my opinion. It's crazy. This is $100 knife, even under 100 usually. But the action, the drop action on it is so just unbelievably glassy smooth. And a lot of it has to do with this bead blast finish, which a lot of people don't want to see on a knife that costs this much, which, you know, I can understand that. Normally this knife's $220, $225. You can find it on sale for around $175. I got mine for $126 on a crazy good sale at White Mountain Knives. You know, but even at $176, I think this is a phenomenal knife. And the bead blast finish, you know, it contributes to that closing action being so good. Again, this one's just as glassy smooth as Titius, but it's not quite as worn in. But once it does, it's gonna be just as good, I think. And this thing came with a really good edge on it. So you can see it's taking skin off of my finger there. But the plunge grind is kind of crap on it. So you can see it ends almost all the way at the end. You're going to be lucky if you sharpen it the first time and it doesn't smile out on you. So, you know, that's a negative. And where the stop pin lands is not in a really great place. I mean, it's okay, but if you want to cut your own choil in, you're going to have to be extra careful. You know, it's landing back there in the meat of it. So let's see, right there, you can see the mark that it's leaving. But, you know, I mean, I guess that's fine because you would be able to cut it in up here, but you're still going to want to be careful doing it, you know? But so the choil, the blade finish, and the not being able to reverse flick it properly because they didn't cut back this side of the lock bar. Those are really my only three negatives. And, well, the clip works great going in and out of the pocket, but mine was actually kind of light on the tension. So, like I said, it goes in and out wonderfully. Thick pants work fine just under it. The ramp on it is great, but it was a little light on the tension going in and out of my pants, to the point where if I was like jumping or running real fast, I might be a little hesitant to not hold my hand on my pocket to make sure this thing didn't go flying out, you know? So I kind of want to add a little tension to the clip. But other than that, man, it's a phenomenal knife. And this thing ergonomically, because of this poon right here, it being contoured, it just works, man. It works so good. And the way it cants down, it just wants to ride in your hand, like the natural curves of your hand. And then you can choke up right behind the edge. And it looks like this wouldn't be that comfortable because of this little notch right there. But honestly, I don't even feel it when I'm choked up right there. So I can get right up behind the edge, you know, and not have to worry about it. And then again, that lock bar access. Man, that lock bar access is so good. And the front flipper. I love the freaking front flipper on this thing. You can just pound that motherfucker out. I mean, just no whap. Hibbity bap. Every time I drive my girl freaking bananas when I'm sitting in the room doing it, you know, or sitting in the living room whacking away with this thing. Let's do a couple of size comparisons real quick. So let's get over top of it because I feel like you get a better view. This is the Militao, Kaiser Militao, and it is damn near. Well, I might help for it down a little bit, huh? It's damn near identical. So if you've got the Militao, then you know pretty much exactly the shape of this thing. But ergonomically, this is way better in the hand, in my opinion. You know, the Militao is good, but this finger cutout right here makes you naturally just want to be back here. And so when you go to do the choked up, you're kind of a little bit awkward, like with your middle finger. You don't have any of that on the Momentum. It just feels great, no matter where I'm at. You know, and I don't feel the clip. It just works. All of it works. So there's the Militao. Let's do Let's do the Titius since I got it out here. It's going to be, I would think, bigger because Miltau's pretty big, but I don't know. This thing is 8 inches. Oh, damn. They're almost identical again. It's even a little bit bigger than the Titius. And like I said, this is 3.8 ounces, so it's a really good weight. And I don't even think I showed it, but, you know, I'll be jumping all over the damn place. Let's see. You can see all the weight relief they did in there. So it carries phenomenally well. So damn near the same length as the Titius. Action on that Titius is so good. Top liner lock raccoon, if I can say it right. It's bigger. Let's go with one I just got a little while ago, the Bodhi. Phenomenal knife, OEM by Kubey as well. Bigger, momentum is. And let's do one more. Let's go with the CJRB Pyrite. I guess it's just the Pyrite. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's the cheap one, the $30 version. So the momentum's bigger still. So hopefully those size comparisons will help you a little bit. Let's kind of readjust our camera here and move that guy out of the way. And like I said, the action, man, action is just, it's just really good on this thing. And the looks, like I said, it looks phenomenal, opened up and closed. It rides in the pocket super well. You can still reverse flick it, and it is still satisfying to do that, you know, the push off like that. I'm just not a big fan of the push off, but because, like I said, the detent's so strong on this one, it works really good on here. But that front flipper, I just go back to that front flipper every time. You know, and there's a couple of different versions of this knife. There's the flamed anode one on the scales that looks pretty good in the same bead blast finish. And then there's an all blacked out PVD version with gold hardware that actually doesn't look bad either, you know. But yeah, I think if you can get this knife for the 175 or below, it's a phenomenal pickup. You know, at 220, I think you're starting to push the envelope of it being too high, you know, because you've got better options at that price point. You know, you can get Devo knives with belt satins, you know, an S90V and camo carbon for that price. You know, you can get Migrons with the belt satin, you know, finish on them as well. So you've got, you know, once you start getting to that 200, 220 price point, you just get a lot more options open up, you know. But at 175 or below, you know, 126 was an amazing fucking price for this thing. You know, I'd ideally now, because of the blade finish that's on it, I would like to see it at around the 150, 160. 160, 165 would be fair, I think, given the blade finish. You know, because this is not going to hold up well. But the good thing is, like, if you do, I haven't cut with it a whole lot because I don't want to mess up the blade finish on it, because I like it a lot. I like the way that it looks. But I'm to the point now where I think I'm just going to, and then if I do, I'm just going to acid stonewash it myself, and I think it'll look pretty good with that finish on it as well. But yeah, it's a great knife. If you've looked at picking one up and you can get it for, you know, around that 175 mark, it gets my recommendation for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's a nice knife. Kubey makes good knives. You know, I know a lot of people like to rag on Kubey, and, you know, you'll hear like Metal Complex saying there's, you know, this, that, and the other, but every Kubey I've ever gotten, I've been extremely happy with. And from what I can tell on their steel, like, this is M390 and they're running it at 60 to 62. You know, and they do a cryo treatment on all of their steels. Hell, their 14C on this and the silo that I have held up extremely well, you know. You know, it is just 14C, so you do have to strop it back, but it still has done better than most 14C I have in my collection. And their M390 seems to hold up well as well, you know, from what little bit of testing I've done with this one. Like I said, I've been hesitant to really go to town with it, but I think the time has finally come that I'm going to. So, anyways, those are my thoughts. Hope you are having a good one. If you want to, leave me a comment down in the comments. I love talking to people. Have a good one.